Good evening, everyone. How are you? Welcome into my sweet home this afternoon for our Halloween vintage decorating finale. I hope you're excited as I am for today. I tell you what, I'm running a little bit behind, but we had some big items to move in, and I may have underestimated the amount of time that I needed to have in order to set everything up. And then it was a challenge getting everything in so that you all could see it up close enough and see details. And I'm still not convinced that you all will be able to see the details as well as I'm hoping that you will. But if not, I'm going to snap some after photos and share here on the page so that you can see some close-up details of what we are going to put together today. I'm so excited for today's Halloween vintage decorating for Halloween finale. So come on in and join me. Welcome to my sweet home. My name is Tracy Campbell. Please let me know where you're watching from. And if you are new here, also let me know, because I love welcoming and greeting everyone that's joining me today on our live videos. And this has been so fun. And we've done 3 other previous videos in this series, all gathered around the same idea of vintage themed decorating for Halloween. And let me get situated just a hot minute here, because this is kind of crazy. The way I've got this all set up, we are scrunched into this tiny little corner here in order that for you all to be able to see. So I'm just going to resituate myself here, and hopefully I don't knock anything over or catch anything on fire today, because that would not be good. All right, so come on in, let's see who's joining me today. Hello, Sue and Donna. Visiting Grands in Florida. That sounds wonderful. I hope you all are having a wonderful Wednesday. Hello, Renee and Michelle and Virginia. Thank you all for watching today. I am so excited. So I'm so excited that you all are here with me, because all of the 3 projects that we have done on my previous lives in this series, we are going to be using and putting them all together in a vignette. Okay, now a vignette, if you're not familiar with what a vignette is, probably most of you are, but for those of you that may not know what a vignette is, it's simply a fancy word for a collection of themed objects or items. And so we are doing a vintage themed Halloween vignette. Okay, now today's idea is going to be perfect for an entryway table, maybe even a kitchen island if you're having guests and family and friends over for a Halloween themed party. Then this would be a great idea. This will also be perfect tucked away in a little corner on a little side table. Maybe you may even be able to make this work on like a coffee table if it's large enough. Okay, so let me show you what I have picked out today. I'm actually not using a table for mine. I'm using an old vintage typewriter box, and if you are not familiar with what these are, I would pick it up and show you, but it is so heavy. It is a wooden box, literally a shipping box that they used ages ago to ship vintage antique typewriters in. Okay, it's missing the top, the top to the shipping box, but who cares? I turn it over and I use the bottom, which is what you're seeing here. I use the bottom to display things in. Sometimes I flip it upright and use the top. A lot of times you see it over here, I have it turned up like this, and I'd use the top as sort of like a little display table at the end of one of my couches in here. And then even during Christmas, I turn it over and I put my Christmas tree down in this box. So this is the very first vintage item that we are going to be seeing today in this display, but we have lots more coming. So let me show you real quick what was on yesterday's project video. If you missed these haunted Halloween candle votives, go back and check out the video. It's just a real short, quick video, and where let's see, let me turn this around this way. I simply printed off these vintage photos off the internet. I just Googled vintage portraits, okay? And I printed some of these off, trimmed them down to size to fit some glass candle votives from the Dollar Tree. And then what you do is you trim out the eye shapes, okay? And then you light the candle, and then it gives you the perfect little haunted glow that we are going to be using in some of our tablescape today, okay, our little vignette. All right, let me show you this one too, because this one's a little bit different of a theme, okay? This one just has two gentlemen, and there you can see the eyes glowing, okay? Now, you don't have to use real candles in these. You can definitely use the battery-operated candle tea lights too, okay? But I could not get mine to fit in there, so I'm gonna set these over to the side for right now so that hopefully we do not knock those over. Okay, so we've used a vintage typewriter box and vintage photos. Next, what we're going to add to this little display to get us started, all I'm using right here is just some cheesecloth from Walmart. It's nothing fancy. All I have done is I have dipped this in some coffee to coffee stain it and give it that old vintage worn look, okay? And I have draped it across my display area, my box here, okay? And I like to let things hang over the sides. Let me kind of twist this around a little bit so you can see. I have it hanging, draping over the edge there, and then over on the other side as well, which you can't see. And sometimes I even like to drape it over the front edge. I like my displays to kind of spill out of their display area so that it looks more interesting and you have more depth, okay? Hello, Terry and Brenda. Thank you all for watching, and Brandy and Shelby. Thank you all for watching. You all let me know where you're watching from, and also if you have any questions for me today, okay? And I'll come back and respond to questions after the live videos over this afternoon. Okay, so are you guys ready? I have been kind of teasing you all and letting you kind of guess on what my surprise vintage item is going to be for this vignette today, okay? Now, I've given away a few. No, I didn't even give you all any clues, did I? I meant to and I didn't. But this item is super big, and I've actually already mentioned the name of this object since I've been live today. So give me a few guesses and see what you think I might be using as one of my main focal points in this display today. Let's see what we've got. Hi, Brenda from Virginia. Hello, Mary and Pam, Leslie and Janice. Thank you so much, Brenda, for sprinkling. I appreciate you so much. That warms my heart. Okay, well, I haven't seen any guesses yet, but I know there's a little bit of a delay. But, are you ready? Let me see if I can get it. It's super heavy, so give me just a second. Give me just a second. And I'm going to try to grab this without, oh my goodness, breaking my back. Oh. Okay. Okay, and my dress is caught on it as well. Okay, so let's see here. I'm all twisted down here. Okay, so give me some guesses. Yes, it is a typewriter, Doreen. Great a guess. Good job. I was wondering if anyone would guess, but this is truly a vintage typewriter. And I love using things like this because doesn't this truly have a story or a history that you can so imagine, like the days of its prime? You can so imagine some of the stories that it could probably tell us. But for Halloween, I love using items like this because sometimes stories, we can imagine them as being mysterious, truly having something so unique to tell us that it's just so intriguing to use items like this when we're decorating, especially for Halloween. So I like to have some fun with items like this. And so what I'm doing is I'm using this as my main focal point, and I'm setting it over to the side here. All right, my phone just notified me first time to use. Yay, great. Definitely turn on your notifications for my page if you would like to be notified when I go live. Sometimes notifications work and sometimes they don't. They're not always foolproof, and I'm so sorry about that. It's just out of our control, but we just try our best around here. Thank you, Donna. Miss Shell, you look so cute. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. All right, we're just having some Halloween fun today for our finale here. All right, so I have set this beautiful vintage typewriter up here on the side, and let me kind of, let's see here. I want you to make sure that you can see it real good. I'm going to turn it around this way for just a second. So all I have done, I've set it on an angle. Okay, Helen has one of those. Awesome. Thank you, Charity, for sprinkling. Thank you so, so, so much. This typewriter, all I have done is I have used like some of these store-bought like cobwebs, spider webs, and I have just kind of tangled them around some corners and over the keys. And then I have put this little spider skeleton. I think this came from the Dollar General. And so I have just put him kind of up here on top. He's a larger scaled piece, and so he works perfect right here on this larger scaled typewriter for this display. All right, so now let me twist this around because now we're going to decorate this corner, okay? And if you all have been following me for any amount of time, you know that I love making vignettes, creating vignettes. And so I have given some tips in the past on how to create some vignettes and some tips and tricks on some things that you can do to create vignettes that are really pleasing to the eye. And so one of my key tips when you're creating vignettes is definitely using things that have different heights and picking things that are focal points first and then filling in the gaps, okay, with lower and higher type items, okay? Let's see, I think I'm missing some comments. Thank you, Michelle. Hey, Kay and Maribel and Tammy. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all are having a wonderful Wednesday, by the way. Okay, so I know, let me twist around here without knocking anything over. Let me grab, I've got a lot of things sitting behind me here. If you watched episode, I believe it was episode 2 in this vintage Halloween decorating series, then you saw me put together, I'm about to drop it, I hope I don't tilt it back too far and everything will fall off. You saw me create this little mini vignette right here, and we used some fun vintage bottles right here. See these right here? We used some of these vintage bottles and used some printable labels that were really fun, and we've added them, Mod Podged them to these jars, these bottles. Oh my goodness, yes, see, it's gonna fall. I've got it balanced with everything on it, but if I move it, it gets a little back hit. Oh my goodness, I'm wrecking it. Here we go. Let's try this again. Okay. So what I have done is I have used a vintage book, okay? And I have opened it and used these vintage bottles in front of it just as a display, used more of the spider webs, used some of these black glittering spiders from the Dollar General, yes. And then some black roses. I think those came from Walmart, but you can grab those just about anywhere. And then a faux flickering candle, okay? So you gotta be careful, excuse me, when you're using the spider webbing. Let me make sure I have this balanced right. Yes, okay. When you're using the spider webbing, if you're using real flame candles, it can get a little tricky. So the faux flame candle here is perfect for things like that because you don't have to worry about the flame, obviously. But when you're decorating for Halloween, I love little snippets of these little like glowing lights, if you will. This little light here is going to be our first little glowing light to this little vignette. And you'll see more in just a moment. And then we'll also use those little haunted Halloween candle votives that I showed you just a second ago too, to give us some more glow. Okay, so the next item that I'm going to be using, let me see here, are some more vintage books. And all I'm going to do with these is I'm going to stack them up right so that you can see the spine. Let me wiggle this over just a tiny bit because we want to squeeze everything we can in this little vignette. It's going to be full of things to look at for the eye. It's going to be so much fun to look at, and especially for your guests. Isn't it fun to create little vignettes like this for friends and to look at when you're mingling and having a great time? It starts conversation a lot of times too with some of the items that you can use. Hi Lynette, hi Shar, thank you for watching, and Holly. Okay, now my next object, let me think about this. I'm going to use some more of these black roses. I'm making sure that I have everything I need here. And then if you also saw, if you watched the second episode, you were able to see these vintage eyeglasses with the folding case. This is also going to be used right here in the very front, okay? My smaller objects are gonna go in the front, and I'm pulling off some of my webbing, and I'm gonna stick some of these black roses right here. And then right here in the corner here, on the first episode of our vintage Halloween decorating videos, we created these cheesecloth wrapped mummies using some vintage bottles. And so I'm going to tuck this little guy right here because we have a little space that is perfect for him. Going to stick him right there. Now I do have some twinkle lights inside of him, so I can turn him on and let him glow. But for right now, I think I'm going to leave him turned off. Because let me show you, the other glow that I want to add to this is just this vintage. Now this is not a true vintage, it's just like a replica of a little lantern, little candle light beside this typewriter. Let me see if I can wiggle this typewriter over just a tiny bit. We are tucking this vignette full of all kinds of things for our eyes to look at. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Do you see how the glow just adds, and when it's dark, it sets off such a cool glow for this little display. And you can turn the lights down and you can see everything just by using some of these little lights. Okay, so let me show you a couple other little things that I'm going to be using. I have this black crow. This came from Hobby Lobby several years ago. I love it. I use it in my everyday decor, actually, in some areas on top of my hutch cabinet. But I thought this would be perfect for this Halloween vignette because one of our bottles here, one of our apothecary bottles, has a crow themed design label on it. And so I kind of wanted to tie that in with this crow. But it's a little short on its own. Like if I put it back here, it's not going to be seen. And if I put it in the front, it's going to block the view of some of my other items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use this black wooden candle holder. And this actually came from the Dollar General, but you could use anything, really. But it doesn't quite sit correctly on the top. So what I've done is I've taken this candlestick, turned it upside down, and I'm going to use it just to elevate this, okay? And then I'm going to tuck it in the back, okay? And so let me see if I can moving out of the way so you all can get a good idea of what this looks like. And I know it's so hard to see up close on some of this detail. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I am going to take some photos as soon as we get done with this live and show you. I'll post those here on the page so that you can see the true close-up details of everything that's in this little vignette. It's so cool to see everything together and how everything works and looks together. Okay, let me see. Oh, the only other thing that we have to put in here are our little haunted votives. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to add these very carefully to the front here, somewhere tucked around in this cheesecloth. Actually, I probably need something. Oh my goodness, my dress is getting caught on our spider. And then I'm going to tuck this one. I think I'm just going to tuck this one right over here, as long as I don't have any spider webs in the way here over those flames. But you could even get creative if you're using like a typewriter. You could put in some vintage wrinkled brown craft paper in your typewriter and start typing like a haunted story or anything like that. But all I've done is I've just printed off another one of these vintage photos from Google on the internet. I just printed that off and stuck it right in the top of this typewriter. So it just kind of makes you think somebody really just kind of left this little setting on a desk somewhere in a haunted house, and they've just left it for years, right? They've left their books, they've left, you know, their typewriter, and even a pair of glasses down here at the bottom. But even their apothecary jars, looks like they could have been in the middle of reading a vintage story, or maybe imagining something to start their own letter or story of their own on their typewriter. But do you see how your mind can kind of create its own story by looking at this vignette? And what my mind may come up with may be totally different from what your imagination could come up with. But fun things like this that truly tell stories in your home decorating just sets the tone for any type of holiday or season or even event. You could take this same idea and you could use it for a birthday party. You could use it for a graduation. Just change the items, change the theme, but you could use family photos, like authentic family photos, and set them in frames. Doesn't have to be anything spooky or haunted. You could just use it for something else different than Halloween. But so hopefully this gives you some inspiration for how I have used and incorporated all of the items that I have shown you how to create from our other previous lives, and how to kind of put them together, pull them together for such a fun vignette display. Okay, so you all let me know if you have enjoyed this. I sure hope so. I have enjoyed being here and giving you these ideas for Halloween. We are going to really probably start rolling out some Christmas vintage decorating and vintage themed Christmas ornament projects and crafts in the next few days. So if you are ready for Halloween, enjoy it. But as soon as Halloween's over, you can enjoy your fall, or guess what? We can move on to Christmas, or we can combine all three and have a super hybrid holiday season for the next several months. It's kind of what we're doing in my house, if you haven't noticed. I have the Christmas tree back here that I have yet to decorate. But we're going to be doing that a few days, and gosh, I have pumpkins and gourds and everything else still out. So we're just having a hybrid holiday here at My Sweet Home. And so whatever makes you happy, hope that you enjoy it this season. And if you are enjoying the vintage items that you are seeing me use in these lives, let me know, because so far the feedback from you all has been wonderful. It really seems that you all love using vintage and family heirloom items, and so I love giving ideas for those things. And so stick around, follow and like the page if you haven't already, turn your notifications on, and we'll stay in touch, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching so much today. Hope to see you soon. Bye.